Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to
Bill and Rupe's Fairly Accurate Podcast.
Just while you get your trousers sorted. Yeah, you look like one of these like beatniks from like we're talking.
a beatnik.
Yeah, like
What's
like,
a beatnik?
Like they're in Washington. Where the people like Bob Dylan would come over for a drink and they'd be all dressed like that. And you'd have a goatee though. That's the only thing you're missing, and a beret.
Oh, I like berets.
Yeah, you see.
Beret that's like the French beret.
Yeah, the Boy Scouts beret. Yeah, but yeah, you look.
Is that all right,
you
yeah?
look like a poet.
Oh, and I'd love to be a poet, Rupe.
Yeah.
Generally, really
Do you
would.
know, I'm being honest now. I went to see my mate in Penzance, and he gave me a book of poetry, which I thought was a bit odd because he's not really that sort of person. But it was John Cooper, somebody.
John Cooper Clarke.
John Cooper Clarke.
Oh, he's amazing.
Isn't he?
Yeah.
And I was reading some of this stuff, and it was great. And I thought, and then went to the Moseley Arts and Folk Festival
Yeah,
to see the
I've
Saw
been there,
Doctors,
yeah,
as you know. And I'm with. Oh, hello. Oh, I thought we had a visitor then. I'm with Kit, and who is Jenny's boyfriend, who's into all the street talk.
Yeah.
Which I don't understand.
Okay.
He's a urban dancer, street dancer.
Yeah.
And there's a young lad from, I don't know, one of the Tower Hamlets or something, and he was brilliant. He was just like John Cooper, but younger.
Wow.
And this guy said, I need to speak to him because he's like a bro. I don't know what that meant. And they had a good old chat, and they totally had a language that was different to anything I'd come across. But it was great. It was like poetry. It was poetry.
Was he angry?
Yeah, it was about death.
Yeah.
2 poems, one about death, and the other one was about death.
Yeah.
And gangland. It was
that sort of thing.
It was all about the gangs,
Yeah.
in the streets and all that.
Because no offence to the great poets, right? But writing about flowers and now they...
Yeah, no.
What's all
They
that
were
about?
high though, weren't they? That was Coleridge, and they were on opium.
No
I
way.
think so. So if you look at Coleridge, who wrote Xanadu.
The film?
In Xanadu, no, it was based on that. In Xanadu did Kubla Khan a stately pleasure dome decree.
I don't know.
It was after he went up to see Wordsworth or something in the lakes, and they got high.
I never
So
knew.
that's why they're
I'm gonna
talking
have to
about
read-
daffodils. It's true, I think.
Oh, I thought it was just a bit...
I think that's fairly accurate.
Yeah.
It's true though.
But
And
I
they
do
wrote,
like the
yeah.
war poems, I have to say. The
Yeah.
poems about the First World War. 'Cause
Brilliant.
now what's the guy from rugby called? Oh, I'll look it up and I'll put it on the show notes.
Is this the guy who died in the war? The Wilbur?
No, not him. But there's a statue. I've walked past his statue
Really?
a million
I don't know.
times. Can't I have to remember it? Not Keats.
They were quite poignant, weren't they? Because they were like, they were just like they all died in
They
the
had
war, and they were
dark
young
humour,
men.
yeah.
And it was quite. You do get choked up.
Yeah.
It's a bit like your songs that you write.
My songs?
Yeah, your songs. And when I listen to your songs, and you did one about friendly fire, and it made me all choked up.
Yeah, I
I
forgot
remember it
about that.
now, and I'm all choked up thinking about
That's
it.
a great song.
It is a great song.
Kevin Crompton wrote that, but
Oh
that's
no,
fine.
it was.
There's
I
no
thought it was
problem.
yours. Oh damn,
No,
shit
no.
song. Sorry, Kev. No, that's right. Kevin wrote
Kev
it.
Crump.
But you wrote a song similar,
I've written some war songs, but my vocabulary is very limited.
right?
Always
not,
has to
though.
be. No, it is. Unless I take the drugs. Not really. No, but my vocabulary is limited. So I don't use like may and day and say as poem, as rhymes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Wordsworth.
Yeah. There's a really interesting story. One of my favourite poets, now we're talking about poetry, it's great, is a guy called, is it Yeats?
Yeah.
Irish bloke.
Yeah.
And the story that I heard was that he didn't like to be interrupted. And he had this daughter who was about 40, all through her life. She knew she couldn't interrupt Dad while he was doing his...
He'd be no good on this podcast.
I know.
Wouldn't he?
While he was doing his poetry, and he used to walk around, and I think there's a statue of him, I stand to be corrected, of him walking around Dublin with his hands behind his back and just like pacing up and down to the rhythm of the poem. And if anyone interrupted him, he lost his... I don't think he lost his temper, but he was upset. And one day, she followed him up on the bus because she wanted to be near her dad. And he was up on the bus, and he was just like, doing it in his mind, doing the whole, they call it the meter, don't they? The rhythm of it. And realised he was being followed, turned around really angry at this person and said, "Why are you following me?"
No way.
And she said, "I'm your daughter."
No
True
way.
story. True story.
Did he end up with like a poem like, "I didn't want to create a fuss, but I didn't want you interrupting me on the bus"?
Fuss. Brilliant.
Yeah.
He should have done.
Should have done that, shouldn't he?
Yeah. But he was one of my favourite poems until I heard that, and I thought, I don't know if you were a nice dad, actually. But there you go.
Thing is, nowadays, right? They might have been a bit odd. Genius. So is it okay to be odd and acceptable if you're a genius?
I think you get away with more.
You get away with it, won't you?
Yeah.
Whereas he might have just been a bit of a
knob.
Well, yeah, I wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, I
but it's
defend
okay.
most Irish people. I
You
think.
know what he's like. You know what he's like.
Yeah. One of the best
he's always
poets.
been like
One of
that.
the best poets I think ever. I mean, it's in my book. But I'm not a big aficionado. Or anything,
Yeah.
but yeah.
But are songwriters poets?
Some are. I mean, there's some great songs.
Yeah. And the thing is,
Like
if-
Sweet, Blockbuster, brilliant song.
great, deep.
Yeah,
poem.
breaking through barriers. I think it's the first.
Awkward.
Not a lot of people remember them, but there you go.
Yeah. Anyway, I wanted to talk to you about something, and I've left it to the podcast.
Okay.
Because to see what your reaction is.
I'm worried now, Bill.
No, and this is a serious subject for me. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and you're my mate, so I'm going to get a genuine reaction from you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we met somebody, Louise and I, on another podcast, as it happens, Louise's podcast, called Charlie Hart.
Okay.
And Charlie's a fantastic woman who speaks about lots of different subjects, but one of them is being ADHD.
Okay.
And it's about awkwardness. And I got fascinated by the subject of ADHD because some of the things that she was talking about, and the reason I bring it up now is because of the poets who are maybe geniuses, but awkward and miserable. They've got this personality, and you go, "Oh, but you know what they're like? They're genius." You know what I mean? They're allowed to act that way. So Charlie speaks about ADHD subjects, okay? And then I looked up what ADHD people think, the way they think, and I'm thinking the same as them.
Okay.
So it's things like, like over planning to a ridiculous amount that you actually get into a subject and you actually really, really get involved in that one subject. I mean, for some people it's history. Some people it's art. Some people it's like recording, like myself, and I get really deep into a subject. And some people have got ADHD, or they actually hypo-focus on a subject.
Okay.
But other things like inappropriate language or coming out with inappropriate things at certain times,
Right.
which I do.
Do you?
I mean, I was at a funeral the other week, genuinely, right? I was at a funeral, and I went up to a relation of the person who's deceased, and my Uncle Peter, or Louise's Uncle Peter, who won't mind me saying this, a lovely, lovely man, and I actually give him a hug. I said, "Pete, it's great to see you again. Hardly worth you going home, isn't it?" Okay. Now, it's a joke. It's dark humour.
And how did he take it?
Oh, he laughed.
Well, I think
I love him,
That's
and
the sort of thing I do.
But it was inappropriate to bring that up, and he looked a bit shocked, but he laughed. I got away with it, but I'm do that an awful lot, and I just wondered, like, how many people are going around ADHD? And I'm not saying it's an illness. I don't know whether some people think it's an illness or not. But I think it's fascinating subject.
Yes. I think you've definitely got something.
Yeah.
I don't know what. I'm not an expert. It doesn't surprise me in a sense of, like, I'm not sure. I think a lot of people, I think I'm on, they call it the spectrum, don't they? Like that autism type of spectrum.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us are on it. I think on different levels. I totally say things that are. I do relate to you a bit, Bill. Maybe that's why we get on. I don't know, because
You might be
I
right.
know that if I say something to you, that's a little bit controversial. You will take it as a joke. You might cry about it in your own bedroom afterwards. But I know that you will probably take it the right way. I know there's certain people that won't out there. And as I've got older, I'm getting away with less, I think, because I just assume that people will get it, and I'm having to be careful. So it doesn't surprise me. I'm not an expert on ADHD.
Well, my daughter says she apparently, Piper and Louise has already discussed this.
Oh, have they?
And said that I was. Never told me, obviously. I'll be the last person who's. And I think that's really interesting. But I don't know what people who have full-blown ADHD think about somebody like me saying I might have it.
No.
Or I'm not belittling it in the slightest.
No.
I just think it's a very
curious, aren't
interesting.
you?
Say again?
You're curious about it. It's probably worth finding. What would be the benefit of you? Would it be of benefit to you to know that you are?
Good question. I don't know.
Or does it matter?
It doesn't really matter. I'm just very interested.
Yeah.
Like things like I've got a short-term memory problem. Or if you introduce somebody, you go and you introduce and you give them their name, and you shake hands with them, and I know this might. A lot of people go, well, everyone does that, but I quite often forget the name, and then we're having a chat about this new person for 10 minutes, and I'm thinking, I ain't got a clue what your name is. Now, is that ADHD or is that just not very good listening skills?
You're like me. I don't. I think it's interesting. I've tried to analyse myself, and Chris, my wife, will tell me, "You're not really listening, are you?" Or I get bored, and it's really quite embarrassing sometimes. I'll ask a question in a normal conversational sort of thing, and then I will just get bored halfway through their answer, and I'll be thinking about what chord is that chord on the guitar they're playing on the radio.
Yeah.
And I'm in my mind somewhere else, and it's totally rude because I've just asked a question, they're answering. It's really bad. I'm a really rubbish listener. And
Sorry, I switched off then.
yeah, exactly. Now, I don't mind. You see, if someone did that to me, I don't mind. But it's actually really rude, and I hadn't realised I was that rude. And I don't know if there's a name for it, but I'm not sure that's ADHD. I don't know enough about it, to be honest. But I think you have definitely got something. I think I've definitely got something. But I think you described yourself as someone who's like focused on something to the point that you're a planner.
It just means I'm really good at planning.
Yeah. Oh, well, I was just going to say it could be a bit of OCD. Is
that the same thing?
I don't know.
I think it's in the.
I think OCD is a bit different. I think people have it as a real extremes of it. Can be.
I don't go, well, I'm washing my hands, but that's an OCD
you've got a plan,
thing,
and you've got to have everyone sticking to the plan. Do you find that do you mind if people are late, for example, if you plan something?
No, I don't mind them being late.
But
I'd be very upset if I'm late.
Good, because I was a bit late today.
I get there too early.
I mean, that's all right.
But I always get to somewhere too early. But also it means I get there well on time and I'm very well organised because I get there too early. Drives Louise nuts.
Yeah.
But she's accept the fact that I just like to get somewhere early. Simple as that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
but what I also do, one of the reasons I leave and get there early is because I get there lost. I get lost.
Yeah, exactly.
I went to the pub last night to watch Warwick Folk Club. Okay. In Warwick.
Oh, yeah. It's a new place now, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, but I got lost.
Well, it's not surprising. It's in that estate, isn't it?
I've been there hundreds of times.
Have you?
I'd lived in Warwick for years.
Oh, I see.
I shouldn't need to get lost. The thing is, I used a sat nav, and I still get lost. I still got lost. I put the wrong coordinates.
Did you really? You big plonker. But
I got there. Got there on time.
Well, you got there on time because you gave yourself enough time.
Absolutely.
I mean, the thing is, though, I used to always, first of all, wonder why dyslexia was such a difficult word to spell.
It's mad, isn't it?
Right, and Alzheimer's is a difficult one to remember. I've often wondered those. Why couldn't one be called Alf and the other one called Fred or something? Because that'd be like, what have you got? Flu. I'd say flu.
They're going to be offended over that. So
Oh,
we
God.
apologise to everybody.
Yeah, but it's still okay. But I always thought it was interesting because I think I have a numeric dyslexia. And it's a numeric one. I didn't know that till later because I have to. I just get numbers wrong.
Yeah.
Totally. And I was rubbish at maths, but I'm not actually rubbish at maths because I can do the problem solving, but it's the numbers that I put down as my answer in the wrong. They're not necessarily in the right order.
Wow.
And honestly, and it's a bit like I can't see it. And so, but later on in life, I found out that a whole lot of people had dyslexia. I was a bit embarrassed about it at school. And then you realise that all the arty people who had, like, they were graphic illustrators and they were really famous. And when you listen to their sort of podcasts now, and you listen to people talking about their biographies, they will say, I had dyslexia and here's what I was good at.
Absolutely.
And I wish I'd done that.
Yeah.
I hadn't. I just thought, I
Absolutely.
was embarrassed, you know.
Yeah. No, I've known I've been dyslexic. Reading, not a problem. Writing, okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It took me a long while to learn how to write that people could read it.
Oh, right.
But I knew I was dyslexic. And mine is sequencing.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, like tonight, I washed up tonight, right?
Yeah.
Took me ages to put all the saucepans in the right order in the cupboard.
Right.
And it drives me, I mean, it drives Louis nuts. I mean, because of the noise I make. You know what I mean? It was like somebody playing the drums, honestly. And Louis, and she come in and said, what are you doing? I'm putting away the saucepans. They just would not fit in the drawer, and the drawer closed.
Okay.
And then, but what she did, she's gone, and it was like, how do you do
well,
that?
see, no, I think, I'm not going to say a sexist thing. No, I am going to
Women
say it.
do that
No,
now,
no. Well, they
Some
not
women.
only. Well, I just think they're a lot better than me. Is what I'm going to say. But do you find that it got worse, or do you think it's always been like that?
I think it's always been like that.
Really?
Yeah, Now, going on holiday, right? When you prepare the car, like Lo would, like, she likes to take everything in the house on holiday, just in case.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean? This chair, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they might not have enough chairs
Well, of
at the
course.
apartment
Yeah,
we're going to, right? So she'll want to take everything,
course,
right? And of course, I want to take all my recording stuff, unnecessary. So basically, the car is chock, right? And then you realise, like, we think, we've got to get in the car as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when the kids were about, it was like, we forgot the kids. Do we have to take the kids? No, I suppose we ought to, really.
Lovely.
And then honestly,
Yeah.
every year we'd be on holiday, like we wouldn't have a route, we'd never have a route, but we'd go, well, who packs the car? And then
Yeah.
I would have stuff coming out the windows, right? And then Lo, she'd take it all out, put it all back again. It's like, and then you still got room for, like, grandma if she wanted. So how do you do
I don't
that?
know. No,
Yeah, it's spatial awareness.
It's a mystery.
It is a mystery.
It's a mystery, and we never know that because we are affected by. I'm probably got more ADHD than you. I've discovered now today. I don't know what it is, and I'm probably upsetting a lot of people who have it. But I actually don't know. I'm not shocked that you said, what's my reaction to you having a thing?
I'm interested in what
I'm
your
not
reaction
shocked
is.
because I've always thought we're all of us humans. I think it's very rare to find someone without some sort of tick or a nuance that's a bit particular to them that people live with.
Yeah.
And they go, oh, that's Bill. He's got a thing.
Do people say that?
Oh no, not. I don't think so. They just love you. People love you, Bill.
Bill and Rupe,